Bandwidth for First Updates Now is supported by AndyMark. Are you competition ready? Go to andymark.com and keep your team inspired. And by the Blue Alliance. Keep up to date on all live and archived First Robotics events and team stats at thebluealliance.com. First Updates Now is brought to you by viewers like you. Fun relies on the generous support of our fans in order to continue to keep creating content. Please consider donating, giving bits, or subscribing. Subscribe for a few bucks a month or for free through Twitch Prime. And don't forget that our subscribers get 5x chance to win on all giveaways.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Region Recap for Week 1 of official competition. We are playing for real in First Power Up, and the Blue Banners have been flown for the first time in 2018. So let's take a look at what went down in the Northeast. Reporting for First Updates Now, I'm Libby Kamen-Drost.
I'm Audrey McMahon.
I'm Garrison Hefter.
And I'm Samuel Prokowski.
This week, we've got a lot of surprising happenings throughout the Northeast. As a lot of you may know, we got hit by a pretty wild snowstorm, windstorm, all sorts of nonsense. And in fact, that means I don't even have anything to recap. The Hatboro-Horsham District in Mid-Atlantic was canceled this weekend due to the snowstorm knocking out power in the school. With no definite time frame for repair, Mid-Atlantic Robotics made the safe choice and canceled the event. This is the first time an event has been full-out canceled. We found out today, actually, that Hatboro-Horsham is going to be completely replayed, landing on week 5, which is when MAR didn't have any events going on. All the teams are just being ported straight over to that event, which I think we will be talking about during our discussion portion, so I won't try to spoil that too much. First, Mid-Atlantic also listed in their more recent Facebook that Sunday falls on Easter, so the religious school-based teams have been given the single option to move over to the Westtown event, which is this coming week. But I don't actually have much to recap other than thank you, First Mid-Atlantic, for keeping everybody safe and for making a solution possible for the teams. The best thing that we can do as Northeasterners is to show up in droves to volunteer for an event weekend that most people thought that they had off. But that's Mid-Atlantic for week 1.
All right, I'm going to move into the Central New York Regional here. This past weekend, 36 teams braved the cold and blustery winter conditions to visit FRC's most competitive week 1 event, the Central New York Regional. Even with only about 3/4 of the teams fully present on practice day, qualification started out with a huge leap from the week 0 level of play. From qualification match 4 onwards, we started seeing the auto run ranking point heavily affect the match. Only 7 matches after that wouldn't have at least one alliance to earn the bonus. From the get-go, Team 2791, Shaker Robotics, showed off their incredible ramps and scoring abilities, rocketing them into first place fairly quickly. Averaging 4 1/3 cubes in the scale and teleop and 1.13 lifts per match, Shaker proved to the Central New York Regional that they were just the opposite of shaky. At the end of qualifications, 11 robots emerged as the top tier of the event. Teams 2791 Shaker Robotics, 340 Gur, 319 Bob, 5254 Hype, 694 Stypulse, 4253 Raid Zero, 27 Rush, 20 The Rocketeers, 191 the X-Cats, 639 Code Red, and 4027 Center County 4-H Robotics, which is just an incredible amount of teams for a top tier. Usually you'll see 1 to 3 teams up there, but we attracted 11 teams that all could have played as the first draft pick. It's also worth mentioning that 10 of those 11 teams had working scale and switch autos, and proved that the key to starting a good teleop round was to take the scale early. In playoffs, the level of play once again climbed beyond the week 1 standard, and posed to something we probably won't see again until week 3 or 4 even. Every alliance was able to get either one of the top 11 teams at the event or piece together a deadly switch alliance. Shaker Robotics selected Team 340, Greater Rochester Robotics, to the first seed, and rounded out alliance selections by picking the host team, 5030, the second mouse. However, I'd like to highlight the opposite side of the bracket for this one, where arguably some of the best matches of the year took place. Each of the 2nd, 3rd, 7th, and 6th seeds took on a similar strategy, coupling 2 excellent scale robots with a 3rd robot who could play the switch or the vault or turn to defense at a moment's notice. With each of these matches were incredibly hard fought, with the scale tipping back and forth for most of the match. In the end, the higher seeded teams would move on to semifinals, where the 3rd seed of 5254, 319, and 358 used 358's defensive abilities to help them overcome the offensive power of the 2nd seed of 4253, 694, and 810. No team at Central New York had seen any defense in a match yet, and that risk paid off, allowing 52-54 and 3-19 to take the scale and power through to finals. After 2 short matches, the first seed Alliance with 27-91, 340, and backup Robot 70-81 took the regional. Shout out to Team 70-81 for their Rookie All-Star, Team 30-44 Oxby for their well-deserved Engineering Inspiration Award, and to 41-22, the Austining Obots for their first ever Chairman's Award win.
All right, now onto the WPI district event. We had 41 teams already starting off week 1, and they got it started off right. Early on in qualifications, a number of things became apparent. One is speed in driving and speed in decision-making are equally important. And those are 2 very different things. There were some fast robots making slow decisions, and that's what I'm trying to get at there. The event was not all about the scale. There's a lot of switch action going on, but the scale was still that determined most of the matches. And I made a misstatement last week claiming that 1519 built a simple switch robot. I was blatantly wrong, as 1519 showed up with a 3-stage elevator on a turret, which was awesome. It was probably the best robot of the event, one of the more consistent robots. They ended up seeding first as that clever design paid off. They picked the number 2 seed, 78, Airstrike. And then the number 2 seed after that was actually declined twice, making for some really interesting alliances going into the finals. The 3 and 4 seeds ended up with some very, very strong alliances. And then the 7th seed also benefited sort of from this chaos and able to pick 32-36 Triforce up late in the first round of the draft. These alliance selection shenanigans led to the number 2 seed getting upset in the quarters. And then in the semis, we got a good look at sort of the different ways that this game can be played. The second match with matchup with 3v7 was pretty much a pure scale battle. You had 2 robots on each side attacking the scale the whole match long. And it was a huge scale battle. It was really exciting to watch. And then the other side was more of that spread out switch battle with teams 63-29 Bucks Wrath going and attacking the opposing switch and really forcing the opposing alliance to react. And that forced 15-19-78 to respond in the match, and then they earned their way into the finals. Now, the finals were pretty wild. 15-19 looked really consistent, solid all tournament long, had probably the worst luck of any team in any finals I've ever seen. The first match, they got their belts stuck in the scale and racked up 350 penalty points. And then in the second match, their driver station blue screened and crashed, causing them a second loss. Now, I don't want to take anything away from the winning alliance. The number 3 seed, it was TJ Squared and Team Orange Chaos from Maine. And they really had a great tournament. Orange Chaos was the consistent powerhouse we knew that they would be coming into the tournament. And I had a chance to talk to their drive team, and they were really thrilled with the way that their robot was performing. They don't have a practice spot, but they have a practice field, and they're looking to take their robot to the next level for Pine Tree in a couple of weeks. And finally, I want to congratulate Andromeda 1 on their EI win and 467, the Colonials, on their District Chairman's Award.
All right, so staying in New England, Granite State was also a really fun one this week. It was probably more of a typical week. It's probably more of a typical week 1 event compared to the other ones played this week, with a couple of matches with very few robots driving and a lot of no auto matches. But overall, I think it was quite a bit of fun. Some of the names talked about last week to refresh your brain were 95, 1058, and 5687. 2 of those teams ended up in the finals of the event, with the third, Team 95, the Grasshoppers, seeding 5th and captaining the third alliance to be in the semifinals, eventually losing to the eventual finalists. This finals alliance was led by Team 6933, a rookie team from Vermont named who I can't pronounce it. I tried. And they chose 1058. Team, oh man, okay. They chose 1058 and Team 6691 Torque. This alliance climbed their way all the way to the finals, facing off against Team 238, 5687, and 1517. It's worth noting that 238 and 5687 were 2 top-seeded teams respectively. Final 1 was pretty close, with the number 1 alliance squeaking it out. Final 2, on the other hand, was a blowout, leading to the number 2 alliance being eliminated. Overall, the playoffs were pretty fun with a lot of good gameplay, but nothing's too crazy. The higher-seeded alliance won every match of the eliminations, beside 1 loss that the third alliance had in quarters to the 6th alliance. Team 3930 took home the Chairman's, and Team 155 took home EI.
All right, and with that, we're going to move into our discussion topic for the night. as Libby said before, Hapor Horsham was actually canceled this week and rescheduled to week 5. So what does everyone think about this? Was it the right decision? And was it the right decision to move it to week 5?
I mean, it seems like the right solution to me. Now, I say this having no experience in MAR at all. So, I mean, you can take that with a grain of salt for what you will. But to me, it seems like the right move. I mean, reshuffling teams seemed like a logistical nightmare, and teams really weren't going to end up with a good experience. Moving the event to week 5, I know it's Easter weekend, but it seems like First is going to try and work around that for the teams that would like that and that don't want to compete on that Sunday. So we'll see. I think it seems like the right move.
Yeah, I agree with that. It seems like the most viable solution. Obviously, it's a very unfortunate thing to happen. There's no good way to cancel an event. There's going to be issues with teams traveling. There's going to be money lost in buses, hotels. But overall, there had to be something done about it. And I think this is definitely the best solution. I'm seriously impressed with Hatboro Horsham School District for being so supportive of doing something like this. You know, having the gym and the cafeteria and all of that stuff rented out within just a few weeks is insane for a school district. So I'm happy that they were able to work it out and happy the teams get to get another play.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually, as a MAR team, the other option, if you could think about it, was being worried that they were going to like take everybody that was supposed to be at Hatboro and try to like shove them into the other events that weren't their second plays, which would probably have cut people's matches, which I just wouldn't have gotten to be a good solution for anybody. I have a couple of kind of questions, I guess, which is I'm so glad that the schools that are affiliated, or teams that are affiliated with religious schools have a way out, because it is Easter weekend. But what if a team's school isn't going to let them go? Like, I'm trying to think of, like, my school district is very understanding with 1923, but I'm trying to imagine having everything set up for the trip and then having to be like, oh, never mind, it's actually a month from now. Can we still go? Like, it's time out of school, it's transportation costs where the buses might already have been, if you're using district busing, given to a sports team or something else. Like, there's so much for each individual team to kind of worry about. And I guess the question is, what if a team says, I understand that you ported me over to Hatboro, but we can't go? Do they double their only like the one plays district points? That's something that I think a lot of people are bringing up, is if you can't make that the new date of Hatboro, should you get the option to switch into something else? Or would you double the first play event? I know in our case, we're currently, having done Palmetto this past week, we're scheduled for 1, 2, 3. And we've been asking MAR to be able to switch one of our district events because the lottery system kind of goofed us over this year. So we're in, if anyone's listening, if someone wants to switch with us. But anyway, so there's kind of this idea of what if they actually can't go if they're not one of the religious schools. But also someone brought up a really important point on Chief, which is, what if Hatboro was the first play? Is it now still your first play of points, or is it your third play? Which event counts for points if you are a 3-play team that had Hatboro on your schedule? My assumption would be it's the first 2 events that commit their scores and stuff to the API, which some teams strategically pick like what events they want to go to based on a third play. So like, not that it really messes anything up, but it's a question about it. So overall, I'm just really glad that there is a solution, because this is a very big and scary problem, right? A whole event just disappeared. So I'm very glad that it is coming back.
Yeah, I just got to say, I drove through the northern edge of this storm, and even with it being the northern edge and not as bad as what MAR was, it was not fun. Central New York had only about 75% of the teams even show up on practice day. And that was a Saturday-Sunday event. I know some teams couldn't make it because their team had canceled school, but what if that had been like the first day of the event? I don't know what we would have done. And I'm glad that Hatboro Horsham really took that step and made it so that all teams could get that play in.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Yeah. So now I think we're going to try and move on so this is the first week of competition, and that brings our first FRC top 25 results coming out tomorrow night. So let's go through the hosts and everybody give who they think, who they would vote for to be in the top 25. I can go first. I think 15, 19, and 78 should both be in the top 25 this week, despite not winning. Like I said, I think they were both probably the best two scorers at the event with some really bad luck in the finals. But like I said, Orange Chaos and 88, I think, deserve to be there as well. And I want to mention Bucks Wrath, team 6329, just one more time, as they had a really unique design I hadn't seen anywhere else. They played smart and fast all tournament long. They were easily the best switch specialists in Worcester, and I see no reason why they shouldn't be in the top 25.
Yeah, so my pick for the top 25 is going to be Team 340, Greater Rochester Robotics. And I think the reason why they're in my top 25 is just because they built another really good, really effective, really simple robot that plays the competition exactly how I'd want to play the competition. They were definitely a huge part of their Alliance's win at Central New York, and I expect them to do some great stuff continuing on this season.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the week one here on our prediction because I didn't see a ton of the Northeast events we were competing this weekend outside of the region. But I got to catch a bit here and there, especially during my recovery day today. So I'm going to give my shout-out space to TJ Squared because of the beautiful cube snipe. I was reading the cube sniping thread on Chief. In the same match, twice in a row, TJ steals the cube out of someone else's intake. It's my absolute favorite thing. It seems really, really silly now, but I think it's going to come back out later when it really counts. They're fighting red and blue, and all of a sudden TJ just comes over and goes, "Nope, thank you. I'll take that. That's mine. That's for me. It's not yours, blue." And then they do it again like 15 seconds later. It's an absolutely glorious video, and I want to see this happen more. It makes me it's so much joy, so much joy.
Only capped by the fact that after the second cube steal, they then stole the head ref's tablet and brought that into the field as well.
All the cubes and the
Which
tablets
was
are
by
mine. Square-shaped objects are mine. Thank you.
All right. So with CNY's crazy competitive team list and even crazier bracket and performance, it was pretty difficult to select just one team. However, one team really came out from the start and dominated the competition with their switch and scale autos, not even to mention their alliance partner lifting endgame. Team 2791, Shaker Robotics, should be at the top of anyone's top 25 this week. They could outpace any robot at the event and probably any in the world at this point. I'd predict to see them very high on tomorrow's broadcast and really put on a show with the rest of their season's events.
Absolutely. Now, if you want to see your team or any of the other teams that we mentioned make it into the top 25, tune in tomorrow. The live results show is tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern. And now let's give everyone a look and a taste of the action coming up this coming weekend for week 2.
Yeah, so let's see what we got going on. We have 4 events between tomorrow and New England. So, Libby, can you start us off with Mount Olive?
Absolutely. We're excited to play Mount Olive District event. It's going to be the first event in Mid-Atlantic for real this time. I swear we're going to do it. Hopefully. Oh my God. Don't. Ooh. Poor Marboard. Oh gosh. Okay. Because of last week's cancellation, there are only 4 Mar teams with experience on the official playing field, and they're all coming to Mount Olive. I'm so hyped. 11, 223, 1923, and 2016 each competed out of district this past week, and from a coaching perspective on one of those teams, nothing compares to interaction with the real field. I think those 4 teams are going to have an advantage in that regard. 36 other teams, however, are here to contend with that. Last year's event champions, 25 and 303, are here to defend their title. 25's robot looks like every elevator 25 builds, but that's probably a good thing. And 303's reveal has them poised to look pretty solid as well. Traditionally strong and solid teams from this event also include 222 the Tigertrons, Mort's sister team Beta, 1403 Cougar Robotics, and 3637 the Daleks. 2016's robot at CNY at Central New York this past week proved to be a solid, fast vault and switch bot, so I think they're going to be pretty valuable, especially with their field experience. Based on the reveals that are out there, I'm looking forward to seeing some cool surprises from teams we don't normally see up on the board come Sunday afternoon. And for the first time in a few years, we've got some growth in MAR, which is exciting. So I want to shout out the 4 rookies that are attending Mount Olive: 6860 Equitum Robotics, 6943 the Blue Bears, 6945 NWR Children of the Corn, which makes me laugh, and 7045 I think that's MC Crusaders, not Mick Crusaders, but either way. I think it's going to be really exciting to throw some new teams into the mix. So good luck to all the teams at Mount Olive, and I will see you there.
All right, moving over to New England, we've got 34 teams venturing to Waterbury, Connecticut this weekend to compete for the second week of Power Up. For most of the teams, it'll be the first time their robot has seen an official field yet, but not their strategy and drive teams. With the edge of having seen some of those week 1 strategies working out, we'll see how this batch of teams takes on the challenge. Be on the lookout for some of those traditionally good New England teams here, like 177, 230, 558, and 3461. Also coming in are some of those MAR teams, 3314, 1676, the defending world champions. But we'll see who can pull through this bracket to take the win and get those district points to qualify for D-Champs later.
All right, next up is the Southeastern Mass event. Thankfully, I don't have to travel very far for it, as it's less than an hour away. It's in Bridgewater this time. And we get to see some teams already taking on their second event. 78 Airstrike, 88 TJ Squared, 23, all in Worcester this past weekend. 88 won over 78. Let's see if 78 can get some revenge this weekend. I'm excited. And then we've got a couple of perennial powerhouses making their debut. We've got 2648 Infinite Loop, 2168 the Aluminum Falcons. Both of these teams, absolutely spectacular. The Aluminum Falcons dominated New England last year and won the district championship. I think they have a good shot to take home this event as well. And then I got to mention my dark horse for this event, a second-year team, is Team 6328 Mechanical Advantage. Now, calling this team a dark horse is a little cop-out-ish. They dominated last year. They're really strong. They're hardly a second-year team, and I think they're going to place in the top 8 this weekend.
All right, so moving on to the great city of Westchester, Pennsylvania, we're going to have a good one at Mara Westtown District event. Some of the powerhouses attending this event are Team 708 Hatters Robotics, Team 747 Flight Crew, Team 6 and Team 1640 Sabotage. Not to mention Team 1712 and Team 4954. Also got to mention Team 354 Miss Daisy and 365 Miracle Worker. So all these teams have done a lot of damage in past competitions, and a few of these teams were actually affected in the cancellation of Hatsport Horsham last week. So it should be interesting to see how that affects their gameplay. In terms of predictions, I would expect a very good performance from all the mentioned teams, with Team 747 in particular really shining. They built an awesome bot last year, but were really never able to take off in terms of elimination. So I think this is going to be a really good year for them. Wasn't able to find any previews on bots this year since no one has competed yet, and no one seems to have their pictures or videos anywhere. But for what 708 has in their recaps, I would expect a high level of competition from them. And overall, just based off people's past performance in past years, there's definitely going to be a lot of high scores.
Take off. I appreciate the pun, Sam. So that is actually going to cover it for the Northeast region this week. So thank you to everyone who has watched. If you want more First Robotics in your life and you like what we do, all we ask is that you share the show with your teammates and your friends. We love watching Fun Nation grow. You can always support the channel by liking our social media accounts and following the stream. Or if you'd like to subscribe on Twitch and more directly support our content creation, you can do so either with money or with Twitch Prime if you connect your Amazon. No matter what, we are delighted to have you on board. On behalf of myself, Audrey, Garrison, Samuel, and our producer Tyler, I want to thank you guys for tuning in, and thank you to all of the moderators in chat keeping it GP. Our next show is going to be the Southern Fried region starting in 7 minutes, so stay tuned for that. We will talk to you next week on Northeast Recap.